really next gen because we knew we had a couple of years ahead of us, so we tackled the technology to begin with.
So we looked at all kinds of ways to make sure that we could deliver that massive amount of detail and to get a really rich experience. So we looked at how we build the cities, we looked at how we animate our characters, how the programmers deal with a huge code base, and we made major improvements in all of those areas.
The fun part is using the power in the right way and trying to not only increase the numbers, but how much you can overhaul the experience, how much you can refresh it. How can we take the core values of Assassin's Creed, now that we have all this power, what can we improve beyond just adding more of everything?
So obviously next gen, I mean, you have the chance to really do a totally new pass at graphic and have that wow moment. And I really think that we're at that point with AC Unity.
The look of Assassin's Creed is about something that we want to make it look real and believable, and at the same time bring some personality to it. So we don't want to do something that's as real as a touristic photo, but more something close to a movie where it has this very believable and realistic signature, but at the same time has some persona, some style, some uniqueness to it.
Like for the environment, we had amazing open world. It looked really great in the sunshine, but in the shadow it was kind of flat, it lacked contrast. And we looked at physically based rendering that tries to mimic our environment and how light really works in the world. And we brought that, and we have enough power now to bring that to the consoles.
So for ACU, we decided to invest a lot in lighting. One of the main subjects that we attacked is GI, global illumination, which also includes sky occlusion. GI is basically light bouncing all over the place, mostly from the directional light, which is the sun, but also from local lights. So if I bring up the cloud, this is all, well, I'm showing you as a step-by-step process, but it's fully dynamic in game. It adapts and it works with rain. It will bring weather dynamically, and it will also affect the ground level. So the more sky coverage I get, the more shadowing I get from the sky, but less lighting bounce also, less sun bounce. So it affects the GI, it affects everything. Everything is related. It's unified.
In terms of the atmosphere, it's reflected through a very moody and atmospheric ambience. So you see smoke, you see dust, you see fog, mist. So this helps to fit with the context of the French Revolution, the urban context, but also helps to give it some very unique look.
On the weather side, we basically took everything that was done on previous ACs, which were quite amazing, and we pushed it up a notch. Like you have now materials that become wetter and you see puddles forming. It's really amazing visuals there.
We feel that we're finally closing in the gap on the movie industry, the cinema look and feel. We have these controls for the lenses, for the depth of field, for the different, like I said, lighting, VFX.
So the world looks completely next gen. I mean, we were never even close to achieving this in any other AC game. Plus, we do it in an open world of that size with seamless interiors with no loading anytime, right? So that was the first breakthrough.
Not only are we just once again building an entire setting from the ground up, but now we're going back to the urban settings. It's Paris during the 18th century. Paris was already a big place. It's the largest city we've ever recreated.
Just to give you a sense of scale, Paris is about the size of the entire frontier in AC3, but it's highly densely populated urban area.
Traditionally, level designers actually place each house by hand, one after the other. And I mean, to do this on a semi-real scale of Paris is just insane. It wouldn't scale at all.
So we built a tool called Paris Pâté to procedurally generate the streets of Paris and all the different districts.
The house block generator permits the city designers to do quicker layouts than previously. Before, it was something that was very tedious and hard to change, and now the tool permits more flexibility. So we have a tool, and we can draw a sort of street shape. And on this shape, we can assign a theme. And within this theme, you'll have all the houses contained for a specific district. So the houses are cyclable, the roofs are cyclable. So you can see that with Paris Pâté or the house block generator, you can see that it's easy for the city designer to say, okay, I'm having trouble running along this roof, so I can lower the roof to make the parkour easier.
So we created Lego blocks for the different type of neighborhoods that we have, a more rich, a more cultural, a poor neighborhood. And this tool populates the streets with all of these Lego blocks to create a unique Paris that we'll be able to navigate and go through as Arnaud in the main story.
And this basically allowed the level designers to get the city up and running really quickly at a really high quality level that we only usually get at the end of the project. So we were able to get a sense of the city really quickly. But we didn't stop at the environments. I mean, we looked at the characters. We looked at everything from hair, cloth, eyes, skin, character performance. And we did a lot of work on scanning actors and getting a lot of detail, getting emotions, and getting interesting animation rigs from actors. Because, I mean, just having the world being photorealistic is nice, but we have to populate it, and that's where it really comes alive.
We made a couple of improvements on character rendering and quality, making sure that it looks more realistic and believable. So the skin, the eyes, the hair, and as well as to make sure that everything is still easy to create and is flexible. So if you look at this guy here, without skin shader, you'll notice that he looks a lot like a rock. You can see that it's very grayish, doesn't look alive. But with skin shader, you see that there's blood running through. You can also sense the detail in the pores. So that's one of the things that we did to make sure that the characters look more alive and believable. The other thing we made sure that would look realistic and believable is the cloth itself. And so every artist are basically fashion designers. They create the pattern that you see here, and then a physics simulation is applied, so you can really sense the weight of every fold, and once it's integrated into engine, it looks like this.
The more realistic we make characters, the more pressure it puts on animation, because a realistic character that moves in a optimized animation type of way looks like a zombie.
This is just a preview of what we do with our rigs and what we get for facial animation for cinematics. This is our engine right here, and this is Motion Builder, which is where we tweak all facial animation curves. And all this is actually real time. So at any frame, you could see that we could actually change the mouth corners, actual little things if we want on the face. You see that we do have a lot of control over every part of the face, just to make sure we get all the expressions that we need.
So the quality of the character, the main character, especially in AC, is driven by programmers traditionally and animators that work together. but they work really in separate worlds. The animators, like they basically work the animation and stuff, but they were very dependent on the programmers to integrate the animations. Basically, you had a programmer that had to enter a line of code before the animator could see what he was doing.
Kino is a node-based behavior tool that was developed for Assassin's Creed Unity to help us with rapid prototyping animations. It allows animators to not only build animations, but to also implement them and integrate them into the game themselves. Our animators are able to both develop the animation, and because they are able to put them into the game themselves, they know how the behaviors and the flow work in the game, and they're much more efficient because of it.
So we put a lot of effort into not only into animation variety, so the actual quality, but then the variety of animation, and then the AI. It puts a lot of pressure on AI. What are these people doing?
So what we're trying to do with the crowds this time on Assassin's Creed Unity is, one, we want to have a lot more crowds than we've ever had on any of our previous games. So right now, for example, in our Paris map, we have over 30,000 crowd characters that are loaded just in that one map.
We need to have enough people with believable animations, believable life. They have to have a meaning in the city. They just can't be bystanders anymore.
So we really want all of our crowds to be aware of their surroundings, about what the player just did, about what the other NPCs are doing in the game. So really a big focus on interaction. So you'll see characters that see each other in the street, they wave to each other, they'll stop. There's 20 to 30 different variations of these. Sometimes it's women stopping other women, gossiping in the street. Sometimes it's couples that see each other. Like over here, you see a romantic interaction that's going on. Here, if I take this guy also as an example, we have our new mood system. So here you'll see he's in a neutral mood pose, but change his mood at any point. Here he's confused, curious. What this means is not only just for our static crowds, but for our moving crowds as well. We could set a certain percentage of people based off of the mission, of how many people are happy, how many people are stressed, how many people are angry.
So by having this possibility for the crowd, having so many people, we're able to have these conflicts within the streets, to have massive amount of people fill up these key places like in front of Notre Dame and addressing the situation and addressing being able to revolt. And it's the first time that we'll have the assassin walk through this.
So now you have lots of NPCs, but you can actually go within those crowds and interact. It changes the experience, and I think when you put all of those pieces together, it's going to really just be amazing. So we get about 10 times more animation, 10 times more polygons, 10 times the size of the number of pixels in our textures. So we had to think about how we deal with that amount of data without basically having our own engine, the whole engine crumble.
What's really hard is that we're working on a 24-hour cycle. There's always someone programming something or checking in stuff, so making sure that it's hard to make sure that we're not breaking the other people's work because we've checked in something at 4 in the morning.
We've worked really, really hard to make sure that the flow from getting your data okay in the editor to the console and to even our partners in Bucharest, for example, in the studios all over the world is really, really short. So now cooking the data is much, much shorter. We're within 5 minutes of generating the full city with 10 times more data that we had for next gen.
What I want to succeed at with ACU is making sure that not only we have the best graphics, but that we have a systemic game and that we have an AC that really looks and feels like a refreshed experience. I want people to go crazy all over again with being an assassin and playing that fantasy, and hopefully with friends. And that's the big takeaways that I want people to have from ACU.
Because of a tragic event in his life, Arnaud is essentially raised by a Templar Grand Master.
Working in the Assassin-Templar conflict into the revolution, that's actually pretty challenging. In the French Revolution, it's like, well, whose side do you want to be on? There's kind of the crazy people who want to chop everybody's heads off, and then there's the slightly less crazy people who want to chop most people's heads off.
You get a real good exposition of both the Assassins and the Templars and how both of these factions at one point could have prevented a lot of the bad things that happened in the French Revolution if they had just joined together. But because of these ideals, this fanaticism, it actually keeps them spread apart, and it actually doesn't help the people.